Hey YouTube, Mugluck here, and I have just beaten Secrets of the Obscure, in my opinion. I feel like I've tried everything in it, and the last time this happened with End of Dragons, I kind of made like a little review video, just sharing my thoughts on it, stuff like that, and it actually did really well. This is it. This is just me talking. This video is just me talking, just gonna share my thoughts and feelings about the new content. And you can disagree or not. It's completely up to you. Noxxi is currently hard at work editing the guide to new strike mission bosses for anyone interested in that. And following that, she's going to be editing a guide to the new Soto method of acquiring the sky scale. So that is coming down the pipeline. So this one, you've just got me editing it, which is, which is to say it won't be edited. So these are some of the main plot points of Soto, Secrets of the Obscure. So going right from the top, the maps. The maps of Soto. Oh, I should say, by the way, I will not be trying to spoil anything, but there may be some unintentional spoilers through this. So I'm just going to say that right now. Okay, so the maps, you start off in the archipelago here, the archipelago. At first, my first reaction was I didn't like it because I was like, oh, this is just a chunk of Path of Fire, this is just a chunk of Cantha, this is just a chunk of the snow area. Oh, this is all just copy-paste, I admit it. That was my internal monologue when I first saw this. However, as the story progressed and I learned why all these chunks were here, I was both horrified and intrigued. Because, these wizards, they're up here playing God, man. They are up here playing God. I was like, what the heck have you guys been doing? This island here is basically, we wanted to see what would have happened if Balthazar had won. So there's people that live here and it's hell on earth. Because the wizards were like, wonder what would happen. What the hell, what is wrong with you? Of course it would be bad. Of course that was going to, that, you didn't need any answer, anyone could have told you that would have been bad. So, some of this stuff is just horrifying. But the islands, as I learned the story and stuff like that, it became pretty intriguing, and I no longer disliked the fact that we had a bunch of different chunks of pre-existing space floating in the air, stuff like that. By the way, Joko leads the Freedom Fighters down here, because the commander died in that timeline. So, a bunch of interesting stuff here. It's basically like fractals, but a little bit different. I won't say more on that, but at first, I didn't like it, and then I learned more about it, and I really, really liked it. Then there's the Wizard Tower. I dislike that this is two separate maps because it was very confusing for me for a long time. The south half of this map is on this map, and it's like the reward when you finish the meta here. The rewards are there. And then the north half of this map is like its own map. And then there's this map. And it was very confusing for me for a while. I'd be like, oh, there's a point of interest I missed there. I'll just port here, and why can't I go there? It's a wall. And it's because there's, separate maps there. So that was confusing for a while. I'm totally fine with it now. Also, there's, the adventures that are only open, during certain times. I don't think I'd ever seen that before. Adventures that are only open during certain hours of the day. So that was pretty interesting. And then Amnetis. Amnetis, at first, again, I hated it. You really need the new mobility masteries to get around, which is fine, but it made me feel like Heart of Thorns again. In Heart of Thorns, when you had to do those masteries for the freaking jumping mushrooms and the immune to poison, so now I can walk through this tunnel in the Tangled Depths, it reminded me of that. All of a sudden, I had to just hit the brakes on my story and then just grind XP for 2 hours to continue. Now, I could have just continued without doing that, but it really felt like that was the right thing to do, so I spent a few hours just grinding metas and events and random rift hunts and stuff like that with boosts on just to get XP to fill in the mastery bars so that I could get the mobility masteries, to ride an updraft on my sky scale, stuff like that, to be able to do Amnetis. So, and it's something I'll only have to do one time. I'll never have to do it again. But it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun having to just I was really into the story and then just having to stop the story for a few hours to do that. It felt like a chore. It felt like a chore. So that's, again, just my opinion on that. So that is my thoughts on the maps. Overall, they were pretty cool. Amnetus frustrated me for a while, but then afterward I got used to it. By the way, a little tip, if you're ever doing rift hunting in Amnetus, every time you close a rift, port back to this waypoint. It's really high up in the air, and you can Griffin dive bomb to anywhere on the map. Literally anywhere on the map. So like, you just go up here, track the next rift, go up here, track the next rift, go up here, track the next rift, it's great. It's great. And also it lets you use the Griffin a lot, which you don't really get to do that often. So that's cool too. Okay, next up, story. The story itself, I really liked it. It felt like a standalone book in a series. So like a, if you've got, what's a recent example? There was like all the Harry Potter books, and then later they did that other one that was like, Mythical Beasts or something. I haven't read it, but that's just an example. It was like a separate story in the same universe. Yeah, there was some overlap. They mentioned a few times, like, oh, well, if you hadn't killed Zaitan, this wouldn't have happened. You're just like, meow. So there was a few times they get uppity about your past accomplishments, but no one cares really that you're the commander here, except Zojja a little bit. And God, I loved that. I love not being the freaking chosen one. I love not being the chosen one. Like, I want to be a competent member of a competent team of people, but I don't want to be, I love, by the way, that the male Asuran voice actor sounds so mucking tired all the time. Like, he sounds like someone who's fought a god and a few elder dragons. He's just like, time he calls and he's just like, what is it? What now? Like, he needs an alcoholic beverage and like a 2-year vacation. Like, he really needs to reset. And I love it. He does a great job. So the story itself, you find the wizard. I'm gonna try to be vague, but there will be some spoilers. You find the wizards, you find Zojja, they tell you what they've been up to, they need help, you help, they don't care who you were. There was one major plot hole that I really hated. All right, there was one point very early in the story where he's like, I could have a fleet, your commander is like, I could have a fleet of airships here in 5 minutes. Do you want me to call them? And the wizards are like, no, this has to stay a secret. And your guy's like, why? And I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, it's tradition. And then he drops it. And I'm just like, what? Like, you dropped it. And then, like, later on in the story, there's a point where, like, things are getting to a climax, and one of the wizards says something along the lines of, if we win here, these chosen few who are present today will know what you did. But if we lose here, all of Tyria will fall, or all of Tyria will know you failed. And I was like, are you sure you don't want those airships? 5 minutes. I literally have a cell phone. Timey made it. It's got good reception. 5 minutes. Like, I'm sitting here at the finale of it. Like, are you sure you don't want those airships? Like, to me, that was a major plot hole. It was constantly just screaming in the side of my head. Is that they just did not want you to call in backup at all. It had to stay hush hush, even if it meant the planet died. It had to stay a secret. Honestly, if it were me, this is inspiration from an episode of Supernatural. There was this whole thing in there where the more people that knew about something or believed in it, the stronger it got. So what if they made it to where, like, the more people that knew about the Cryptus, the stronger the Cryptus got? Because they do feed off emotion. Holy script, that would fix all the problems I have with the storyline. If the Cryptus were stronger, the more people that knew about them, then we would have to keep it a secret and have an elite squad instead of, like, telling the whole populace and arming them. And we would have to fight an uphill battle where a few people had to fight the many, because if the many people knew, it would feed the enemy. That's just off the top of my head. I literally, when I was sitting down to plan, talking about my thoughts on this, I hadn't even thought about that until this moment. Something like that would be killer. But right now, it feels like a major plot hole. So yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really, really sweet. Yeah, there was an episode of Supernatural where someone, like, made up an evil god and put it on the internet, and so many, like, friggin' Hot Topic shoppers believed in it, it came to life. So anyway, there's my idea on that. Zojja did great. The advancing of Zojja's character. Zojja, for those who never read this, This is Edge of Destiny. This takes place right before Guild Wars 2. Great book. I don't even read that much, and this is a great book for me. Doesn't have pictures, though. Zojja in this book, this is before Guild Wars 2. Her teacher Snaf dies. Murdered violently by Branded right in front of her. And she does not take it well. And that is why in the beginning of Guild Wars 2, from the very beginning, she is very snippy. She's very short with people. She's curt. She's basically grieving in a very sassy way. And then in this story, she, through, Heart of Thorns, she got beaten down, shoved in a pod, ended up half corrupted by Mordremoth. They saved her, but then she was in a coma for a while. And then she went through a lot. And so she was just like broken and beaten down. And Felicia Day, I think, nailed the role. It took me a while to like understand why, because she was acting kind of different. I was just like, oh, I wonder if Felicia Day had a hard time getting back into character. No, once they revealed like all the stuff that she'd gone through since you last saw her, I was like, oh shoot. I'm impressed she's still standing. So that was pretty cool. I think they did a good job with her character development. And there was a lot of neat stuff that happened there. Let's see, what else in the story? I think that's mainly it. Overall, it was good. I liked it. I had fun. It was very enjoyable. Honestly, right this second, if you're like, Muck, what's your favorite story in Guild Wars 2? I would say either the End of Dragons building up to the finale, Living World Season 4, Joko, my man, or Soto. Those are definitely my top 3, but I don't know the order. It was very good and fun for me. IMO. Next up. Strength missions. How long am I streaming tonight? For another hour and 40 minutes, and then I'll raid someone else for the people getting drops. Soto. Strike missions in Soto. Soto strikes. There are 2 strike missions in Soto. The first one is very easy. The first time I went in there, we didn't know the fight, and I was with a full pug, and we killed it on the first try. It was not that bad. There was some new curveballs. There's a mechanic with a green arrow. We've had green circles for years. There was a green arrow. And the green arrow, we're like, did we just stack in it? And it sometimes worked and it sometimes didn't. And we took us a while to figure out why. I won't spoil that just in case Preach is watching this or someone like him. But I'll have that in the guide that is being made right now. But there's a few curveballs, but it wasn't too bad. It was pretty simple. I would say it was easier than EOD strikes. Then the second strike, it was fun. It was the Cryptus dude that's on the box art. The second strike was fun, and it's got a pick your poison mechanic. Basically, the boss there's a moment where you get to choose weaken this ability of the boss, but whichever one you don't weaken is going to get stronger. And so it's a pick your poison thing. And so it took us a while to learn which option was which ability, and then figure out the right thing to do to make the boss be as easily as handleable as possible for us. I thought that was awesome. I loved picking that fight apart. A guide for that one will be coming soon too. So now that I know it, every time I go in there, I'm just like, hit that, then that, then that. The other people there are just unga bunga, and they don't know why I'm saying that, and they just do it, and for them, it's an easy boss kill. But it's, once you figure it out, it's not that bad. But I had a lot of fun picking it apart, and the ambiance of the whole demon room and stuff like that was really, really sweet. Weaponmaster Training. Now, I will say, going back to strikes, there will be 2 CM strikes that are coming out over the next year. They've already announced that with the release. Right now, there's just 2 normal mode ones. I guess one thing I can add to that, I'm sad that they did the thing they did with EOD, where the strikes only give you big rewards once a week. So like I killed those strikes, and then I killed them again the next day to get more information, and I only got some green shards. Now I did get a lot. I got like 10 green shards or something, but I only got the green shards. You only get the treasure chest, I think, once a week. And I really hate that because I like doing them. Icebridge Saga strikes give you rewards every day. EOD strikes give you similar rewards, but only once a week. And now Soto strikes do too. Of course, I can complain about that, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we need to nerf Icebird Saga." Okay, thanks, Mark. So hopefully not, but I would like to get the rewards each day from strikes because I enjoy doing them. I don't want to just do them once a week. But there we go. All right, that's my thoughts on that. Weaponmaster Training. Some of you may have already seen. I posted a 60-second video on how to get Weaponmaster Training the other day. I was shocked. There was a lot of people that just missed it. They're like, I played the whole story, I never found it. And what it is like literally like 15, 20 minutes into Soto, there is a dude in a corner and he's got a book above his head. You go click on him and he's like, I could teach you Weaponmaster Training. You're like, oh, teach me. And he's like, your weapons were the friends you made along the way. And then you learn it and that's it. He's just like, you just had to believe. And it wasn't exactly that, but it was really close to that cheesy. He's like, oh, you just had to believe or you had to want it. And there you go. Now, and then that's it. Your whole account is Weaponmaster Training unlocked. So, like, I don't mind that it was easy. But it was also really silly the way they did it. I mean, I would have either made it a mastery. Just, you put it on the first tier if you want to have it be easy. I would have either made it a mastery or just be like, it's unlocked with purchase of Soto. But the fact that it was just this dude in a corner that a lot of people ran past him and didn't know he was there, to the point where 15,000 of them looked up my guide for where to find the freaking thing. And it just was like, here you go. I found that kind of silly. Like, I mean, at least do a fade to black in a training montage or something. Like, play the Eye of the Tiger while my Soul Beast clumsily beats a target dummy with a staff. Give me something there. But the way they did it, I was just kind of like eye roll. But anyway. Legendary armor. So legendary armor, from what people have found, so there are achievements already in the game that appear to be prerequisites for getting the legendary armor from open world. Now, I already have full legendary armor. I'm going to do it to be able to make a guide for it, and I'm going to see if I like the graphic of it to update my Fashion Wars. However, it comes out in, I think, the second update, so I think it's going to be like 6 months away. I could be off on that, but it's not out now. You can do some of the achievements now to get ready, but it's not out now. However, it does look like it's going to require thousands of Rift Essences. Now, a quick reminder, when you do a Rift, you might get like 5 Rift Essence, and if you do a Rift while you have a Motivation equipped, you might get 30. Which, that's like 6 times the speed, but that's still a lot of Rift farming. I hope you like Rift farming. Now, granted, there's other ways to get legendary armor. There's World v World, there's raids, there's strikes, and now there will be an open world method. And I kind of figured from the get-go the open world method would be very, very long in some way if it was going to be simple, like easy to do even if you're solo. Like World v World is just a participation trophy. They just give it to you after you've been in there for like 10,000 hours. And, you know, the only difficulty, like there's no, you don't have to go solo a Keep Lord or something. There's no challenging thing about it. It's just really, really high attendance. So the open world is going to be probably not the same time investment as World v World, but I think it's going to be second for longest time investment behind World v World. Whereas I think Raids is the shortest, but you have to find a group of competent people, and PvP is somewhere in between the two of those. So Legendary Armor, like many of you, I wish it came out at launch, but it's not ready yet. And on that same note can be the new weapons. So, you know, new weapons are coming out, and they're probably still like 3 to 6 months out. Very much looking forward to that. I love build crafting. It is one of my favorite things of any expansion. Elite specializations is what that usually means. This time it means weapon crafting and Weaponmaster Training. So really looking forward to that. I'm sad it's not out yet. That actually, another thing about Weaponmaster Training. Weaponmaster Training, we have 27 elite specializations, okay? There's 9 classes. Each of them have 3 elite specs. There's 27 elite specs. Each of those 27 elite specs got 2 new weapons types, okay? It's like if you played Druid, you just got the Soul Beast Dagger and the Untamed Hammer. All right? You know, if you played Catalyst, you just got the Weaver Sword and you got the Tempest Warhorn. For some classes, this is whatever. Like Druid, really, if you're a heal Druid in a raid, you can use the Soul Beast Dagger instead of the Throwing Axe. Just kind of, I just want to stab things today. And it's fine. The Hammer is not really going to help you with your healing job. But for other classes, it's busted. Now, with 27 classes, each getting 2 new weapons, yeah, there was going to be some insane stuff that slipped through the cracks. In PvP right now, Valen's already made a video of a bunch of different combinations that just is popping people. Like a Catalyst using the Weaver Sword and the Tempest Warhorn has this combo that could just kill anyone that's not dodge rolling. A Willbender using a Dragon Hunter Longbow is absolutely terrifying. A Soul Beast that does Sick'em on himself and then uses a Druid Staff can just laser beam people and kill them in like 2 seconds. There's a lot of weird stuff, and honestly, it makes me scared of PvP right now. It is just like absolutely busted, and I love this game, but at the speed that they usually balance stuff, I'm worried that this is going to be a problem for a long time. So there's, you know, if you look at Snow Crow's meta battle, stuff like that, there's a bunch of weird builds coming out, like Scourge using a Harbinger pistol. It just got a huge damage buff. Like there's many PvE builds that just got huge damage buffs. There's many PvP builds that are just, you know, have a huge burst. They're just like, you know, they're playing an FPS while everyone else is playing an MMO. And yeah, it's just popping people. So I love the flexibility that Weaponmaster Training is giving to the game. I hate that we probably have a few months of incredibly unbalanced stuff ahead of us. So that's my thoughts on that. The metas. There's 2 metas in this expansion. Skywatch Archipelagos and Amnitus. Skywatches was fine. It was kind of fine. It slots into the story in a weird spot. There's actually one spot in the story where you have to either A, go gather essence, or B, do the meta. And there's an achievement for doing
Pictures of Spider-Man!
There's an achievement for pictures of Spider-Man. There's an achievement for doing the meta without gathering essence. But it's really, really hard to do any effort in a Skywatch Archipelago and not gather essence. So I literally made a squad and led a meta where I was just sitting in my chair, which was the noodle stand, and yelling at people like, work harder, you missed a spot, over there, you, no talking. And we were memeing about it, but the meta, the achievement to get the mastery point is literally do the meta and be a deadbeat. That's literally it. There was even someone from ArenaNet in our squad, and I was like, "This is your fault, just so you know." She's like, "I didn't design this." She's like, "That wasn't me." So that part was silly. I hope they fix that. The meta itself was cool. It fit into the story perfectly. It fits into like the end of Skywatch when you're trying to break into the Wizard Tower. It was really neat. You got to see a lot of like background of Lear and Mabon. It was really cool story wise. The effect is as far as like what you had to do during the meta. You know, scatter out, gather essence from lots of different things, bring it back. There's like the forging. There's the final battle. I thought it was pretty cool. I did not hate any part of it. Now, yeah, the Wizard Tower, of course, is just the town. Amnitus has a meta. Amnitus is a very epic meta on a grand scale. It's basically like Cthulhu himself has come knocking at the door. Tentacles are bursting out all over the place. You beat them down. Those are kind of fun. It's kind of like a super rift. Those are fun. And then you fight the big Ooga Booga himself, which is like up here like an octovine, like, you know, wrapping around the tower. That one, I don't really love. It's fine. I don't hate it, but let me tell you what happened. One, up here in the sky, it's kind of laggy. I'm getting like 20 FPS up there, and I'm on a space station of a computer. I am with a horde of other people, and they're all on their sky scales because the part of the meta, you have to be on your sky scale shooting fireballs. It's the aerial combat thing. And it's just a cloud of freaking like rainbow colored wings beating in my face. I feel like I've just got like this Skittles locust swarm in front of me. And just the whole time, like I like, where's the graphic setting to turn off all the other sky scales? Holy crap. So it's a lot. So like I'm losing a lot of FPS in that fight. It feels choppy. It feels sluggish the whole time, even when I try to do like, you know, high performance, because I've just this locust swarm of sky scales that's everywhere at any given time. Even when you've got people on the ground, I like purposely join the group on the ground because I don't want to be with the sky scales, but they're still like buzzing all over the place. There's a few quirky moments. There's this one moment everyone's just calling the yoga thing. You have to stand in this circle and like all your buttons change to be like, ho, Kagebonshin, you know, and you gotta like do this stuff, but it's for like a full minute. And honestly, it does look kind of cool the first time, but afterward, everyone's just like, you know, sipping their coffee, getting refills and stuff like that. And the big boss is just like staring at you and just like letting you do your calisthenics the whole time. And it's just like, yeah, okay, all right, I guess he's fine with this. And you're just like, you know, trying to learn your first jutsu down on the ground. So that's kind of silly. Also, there's an achievement to like walk into the boss's Omega Death Beam, so that was kind of funny, just like smashing into that the first time. But yeah, it was interesting. I don't plan on adding it to the list of ones I do for fun. I don't. It was just there's too much like FPS loss and stuff from just like so much going on down there and like up in the sky and stuff like that. The zone's cool and all, but it's just like, It's so sky scale centered. That's tough. Tough to say. That again, you're seeing so many sky scales at any given time. It's cumbersome. It's like bothersome. But like when I'm down on the ground and doing events in any of these places, it's fine. I enjoy it. And I do love Griffin dive bombing from up here to anywhere I need to go if I'm like rift hunting or something like that. So that's pretty neat. How's the profit for the 2 new metas? It didn't feel like much. Like when you beat the, that's another good thing. When you beat this meta, a bunch of chests appear in here all over the place. Some of them are on the 1st floor and some of them are on the 5th. Like, and you don't see the little arrow on your minimap for whether it's above you or below you until you're like right near it. So you can't like plan your route when you walk in there, and they're in different places each time. So you know what it reminds me of? The tunnel gaming. The first time you did the Gyaladelv tunnel and you realized the treasure chests are like all over the damn place, it reminded me of that. So like getting the loot, like I like doing this meta, and then I don't go open the chest because it's so annoying. Like that's weird. Like, I mean, come on, you guys learned after Drizzlewood Coast that people don't like them being all over the dang place. Just put them in a little circle. Like just put them in a little circle. In Amnetus, the loot is in a circle, but each box has just like an unidentified armor and like one other thing in it or something like that. It's a very small amount of stuff. Everything does appear in a small little circle, but it's just like 5 little boxes. It's like each one has a green and 2 Imperial fragments each. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, okay, so let's see. Let me go back to my little sheet here. So that's the metas. Relics. Okay. All right, Relics. Let me show you my #1 problem with Relics. For those that don't know, in the expansion... Well, you know, this isn't a guide to Relics. I'm not going to do that. But, you know, we've got the new Relic slot here. I'm not going to explain what it is. It was an offshoot from Runes. However, the Relics... What is the first one? After using an elite skill, shield yourself with a projectile reflecting barrier. What's the duration? While summoning a wave that pulls enemies toward you. What's the range of the wave? Every single relic, nearly, is missing crucial information. Okay? Grant yourself and nearby ally super speed for 2 seconds when you enter or exit stealth. What is the range of the boon application? Alright, just all of these, they're missing chunks of information. The runes were very descriptive, but then they made the relics and they're all very cryptic. So you have to do tons of testing to figure out what the heck they do. It's just quite annoying. So right this second, as someone who had legendary runes, worked for months to get them, had a portion of their power pulled off and made into these relics, and the relics are currently very vague on what they do, I mean, I don't like them right now. I think I can grow to like them. I'm not posting on the forums or anything like that. I just, right now, I have Rune of the Monk and I have Relic of the Monk, and Relic of the Monk is worse than it was before Relics. It's been nerfed a bit. So yeah, and then some of the ones I used to use are completely gone. So I'm not loving it, but maybe there will be some cool ones that come along later on that make it much more exciting. But right now I find them like kind of vague and irritating. But again, there are some creative ones that have come out that shoot like, you know, beams around you in a circle and all kinds of weird stuff. So it's like right here, the Eye of Serasim, it's a rotating line attack around you. That's kind of neat. So some of these could be interesting, you know, and it's easy for them to add more now if they choose to. I hope they choose to. I hope they do. But right now, yeah, that's it. I'm talking in circles. So that's my feelings about Relics. Masteries. And someone in chat is saying, what Masteries do I start with? If you mean the Soto Masteries, I did the first one, Rift Guidance, in this category, and then I went all the way down Flight Training to be able to get around easier. Because getting around easier was the most important thing to me. And then I started doing this other stuff later on. Also, I will tell you, the Lesser Arcane Treasures and Greater Arcane Treasures are... the stuff in those boxes is really bad. So, talking about Masteries. The Rift stuff, overall, I think it's kind of cool. I don't think it's quite as good as what I was hoping for when they first presented it. You know, there's tier 1 rifts, and whether there's one person there or 20, if you go pink, it feels like you can just delete the guy. Tier 2 rifts, a little bit tougher. I can still solo those, and tier 3 rifts are a bit tougher. I could solo those, but only with certain builds. They're quite challenging. However, I myself made a video about the rifts when they first came out that I thought it was going to be like Rift the MMO's rifts. Rift at the MMO, if you had one person there and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the monsters, more monsters would spawn and they would get stronger. In this, there might be some scaling. I can't even really notice it. Most of the scaling from this is just, is it tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3? That's mainly it. So if there's like 50 of you doing a tier 1, sometimes it's hard to hit the guy before he dies, and then it's over. You know, I'm sure many of you who've been playing Soto have, tracking a rift, you fly to the location, and it closes when you land. You're like, son of a bitch. And you're like tracking a rift, fly to location, and you're like, oh my god. It just keeps closing right when you get there. It's annoying. So I wish that if there's like, a ton of people doing a tier 1 or 2 or 3 rift, it gets stronger. Like maybe every 10 people kick it up a notch, like every 10 people kick it up a notch or something like that. But okay, that's my thought. That's my thoughts on rifts. The actual like how the rift works, it's fine. I find it kind of fun. I do it in doses. I binged it for hours on the first few days because I needed to do the Soto Sky Scale and the Soto Cryptus Sky Scale. I got the demon one here. This is the Cryptus Sky Scale. I wanted to get these just so I could make guides for them, which are currently in production. But I needed to close a ton of rifts to be able to do that. Which I did, so that was fine. Updraft generator is kind of fun when you find them. Ley loom operation is fun. Whenever you find a ley loom, it makes a really long ley line. Like we're talking sometimes half the zone. I believe in the old archipelago here, there's a ley line right here, and when you hit the loom, it makes a ley line that goes like all the way over to like here. And you just are like, whoa, and you're just, it's like a roller coaster. It's a lot of fun. There's one over here too that shoots all the way up Stargaze Ridge, and they are enjoyable. They are enjoyable when you can find them. So the Updraft Generator, Ley Loom Operations is great. Arcane Treasures and Greater Arcane Treasures, there's unusual coins in those boxes, and also the boxes are annoying to open. They made this mini game on the boxes, which it's like you basically gotta, it's like, it says 2, you hit 2. It says 3, you hit 3. It says 1, you hit 1. It says 3, you hit 3. It says 4, you hit 4. It says 2, you hit 2, and then it opens. But you gotta do that on every single box. And so it's not difficult or anything like that, but if you've got like 5 boxes in front of you, it kind of, you kind of let out a big sigh because you're like, okay, I'm gonna be here for a full 60 seconds opening these. So it gets kind of old fast. Also, the boxes don't disappear off of your minimap after you open them. So you keep coming back to the same boxes sometimes and they haven't reset. They should fix that. That's a bug. Astral Ward, this is Experience the Wizard's Tower. Astral Craft and Emotion Control lets you make the motivations. The motivations did not have to be as complex as they did. It took me a while to wrap my head around them. And then I made a just short, like 1 or 2 minute video explaining what they were to other people. And it has gotten like 15,000 thank yous. So I'm not the only person that thought those were complicated. They could have made it much easier to understand than they did, I feel like. So that's just like design feedback. They're fine how they are. Now that I get them, they're fine. I'm not saying they need to change anything, but I'm saying I feel like they made them needlessly difficult to understand. Rift Mastery is more loot from Rifts. This is the only one I haven't gotten yet. That brings me to a thought about Rift points. Rift Mastery points. I cannot talk. What am I trying to say here? God dang it. Soto Mastery points. Okay. In every expansion so far, like if you needed, like if you look, I have 19 extra Heart of Thorns Mastery points. In every expansion so far, after you've gotten every single mastery, there's a ton of spare points left over. Okay? There's a ton. I need 5 more to be able to get the last thing. If I go here and I do a filter for Secrets of the Obscure Mastery points, someone is going to make a YouTube comment, there's a filter! There's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 more points. And there's 12 more points that I can get. So after I get the 5, and I've done I'm doing them from easiest to hardest using this filter. After I get the 5 I need, there will be 7 remaining. So there's 7 spares. Now granted, there's going to be another map that we don't have yet. That might have a couple of those rifts, those mastery points that you can just channel on and commune with. So there might be a few more, but right now you have to get, you don't have a lot of flexibility, you know, because in Hot and Path of Fire and Into Dragons, I could be like, I don't like to do that type of task, and I could just not do that and do other things and get all the masteries. Now I have to do quite a few things that I really just didn't care to do. So that's just some feedback, but, you know, I'll get it done eventually. I'm chipping away at it. Okay, so that's my thoughts on Masteries. Rifts, I kind of talked about Rifts at the same time as Masteries. I think they are kind of fun. I wish they scaled better and not just like T1, T2, T3. I wish if you were doing T1 with 50 people, it was more challenging than just killing it in 1 second. But that's my opinion. Some people might like that they could just kill it and move on really fast. I'm not sure. Wizard's Vault. Wizard's Vault. Okay, first off, I don't like having to open it to click on login each day. It's a super minor thing, but I did not have to do that before. Now I do. There's 10 points for breaking enemies Defiance bar. So Wizard's Vault replaced our daily system. Now, I myself am, by the definition of most of my audience, I'm rich. Just not because I, like, you know, buy low, sell high. I don't have like 600,000 gold like Guild MM. I've got 8K, but mostly that's just from playing an unhealthy amount of the game, and so much playtime yields to gold piling up. Not because I'm really doing anything crazy. Now, I was not doing the dailies before. I was almost never hitting H, going into here and looking at what the dailies were and then trying to do those. It was more that I was just doing whatever I wanted each day, and then whatever dailies happened to pop up, I was like, oh, sweet, I was doing my home instance and I also got Farm Maguma. Sweet, bonus loot, you know, and I would just open it and move on. Now, I kind of have to, like, look in here and see what's going on, and I have to, you know, grab the rewards before I lose them. Then there's like the weekly ones and then special. I did do these because these gave so much. You know, this was ride a ley line with the Grifter Sky Scale, do the story. This is get the Soto Sky Scale, and this was by accident. This was just working on map completion. And then when I had it capped and I couldn't earn anymore, random, hello Hiranto. I went in here, I bought the Legendary Weapon Starter Kit, and then I just got that. So with that, like, if you, a couple things here, if you're just doing daily login, let's say it's just you don't have a lot of time to play that day, you just log in, get the daily login and log out. Is it even worth it at this point? I'm not sure if it is. I mean, the 5 points you get, times, you know, 30 days in a month, that's 150 points a month, that's 2 clovers per month. You know, if you're really tired, you don't have a lot of playtime, and you're logging in each day just for a second to get the login reward, that's 2 clovers a month. Or you know something else in here, but it's not a lot. Now there are, on the flip side, there are some things in here that are really nice. I can totally see a lot of you know, newer players getting their first ascended weapon from this Wizard's Vault, their first ascended armor from the Wizard's Vault, build template expansion that they might need. That's really cool. Let's see, what else unusually good? The Legendary Weapon Starter Kit. So the Legendary Weapon Starter Kit, let's talk about that for just a second. So the Legendary Weapon Starter Kit, you open this sucker up, and there's your choice, Bolt, Bifrost, Meteorologicus, or Quip. Let's talk about Bifrost for a second. So if you get this box, you get a whole bunch of goodies. There's 2, Bifrost. Now, to make the Legendary Staff Bifrost, it requires a big pile of materials, just like every Legendary. What is in this box? It gives you this item, the precursor, the legend. It gives you the gift of Bifrost. It just gives this to you in the box. This means you skip having to level a 400 chef and a 400 artificer. If you're new to the game, that is huge. You skip having to spend 100 gold on this, the freaking Runes of Norn Monopoly, and then you get one of these 2 gifts, either Might or Magic. So all that's left, which is still a bit, but it is a legendary, is the other Gift of Might or Magic, which is going to be, you know, that's just some gold, a bunch of clovers, 250 ectos, Gift of Battle, which is, you know, having to do World v World for a little bit, and Gift of Exploration, which is map exploration in Central Tyria, and then this right here is nothing. So this is, now keep in mind, a Bifrost sells for 2,000 gold. So this kit is over half of what you need to make a 2,000 gold item. So this is actually insane. A lot of the stuff in here kind of feels like a trap. But this is actually insane. This is wild. Then what else we got in here? We got some emotes. We got some stuff that's just, pretty. And that's cool. That's cool. I like that there's cosmetic stuff in here. It's just like, hey, if you want to get this, there's an option here for you. Here's what they look like. Also, it's really faded. I wish it was more obvious. There's a little eye here on a bunch of these, and you can use that to preview these if you wish to do so. I did not even see this thing until someone pointed it out to me, because it's like so faded right there until you mouse over it. So know that that's there. Maybe you were smarter than me and you saw it. Also, it bugs me that this says bag of laurels, and you mouse over it and it says contains 1 laurel. That's bag of laurel. That's just no S. Take that S away. But yeah, so that's my thought on the Wizard's Vault. If you were using an account just for login rewards, or you were only logging in just to get the login rewards after a hard day at work, you're too tired to play, it doesn't really seem worth it anymore. Plus, you have to do a bunch of extra clicks. Because you have to go into the Wizard's Vault and click this stuff. However, if you're on an account you're actively playing, there is some really, really nice stuff in here. There is some really nice stuff in here, for sure. Okay. With that, where are we on my little list here? Okay. So, went over the Wizard's Vault. Flying combat. The flying combat. Okay. Alright, so, the flying combat. If you get this, the 2 fires a fireball. So you just blah. All right. Now, if you hold down the 2, there is a little aiming dot in the middle of the screen and a beam that slowly, it just fired. I'm still holding it down. So that's one of my complaints. It fires while you're still holding it down, even if you're not ready for it to fire. That said, that will not happen with your skills. You can do this for as long as you want until you're ready to fire it, and then it'll go. So it's trigger happy. It's a bottle rocket. So it fires when you're not ready sometimes. It uses that little orange beam. See that faint orange beam? Very hard to see on certain, look, I cannot see it in that at all. It's very hard to see in some backgrounds. So there are some points during the meta where you gotta shoot, the Sky Skull has to spit in the other guy's eye because he's a freak. And there's lasers all over the place, Sky Skills everywhere, and I miss 5 shots trying to find his hitbox. Also, unlike your character, the Sky Scale will not turn to aim it. So if you look at this, look at the orange beam. See the white dots in the middle of my screen? The Sky Scale will not turn around. If you aim farther than over the Sky Scale's shoulder, it will miss. It will not hit where you want it to go. So it fires sometimes while you're still holding the button down. It doesn't always go where you want it to go because the Sky Scale will not turn with the aiming. It doesn't have a reticle on the end of it. So for example, this has a reticle on the end of it. The Sky Scale does not have a reticle on the end of it. And then the faint orange beam is not a substitute for not having the reticle on the end of it. I mean, you can have both. You can have the faint orange beam and the reticle, because sometimes you're trying to shoot things that are in the air, so you can't have the reticle working, but still. Also, if anyone didn't know, somebody else taught me this. If you have used up all your fireballs, you can use your Bond of Vigor, and it will refill 5 fireballs. It gives you a few more shots. It's like, you're reloading! It's reloading. But yeah, there's a lot of areas here in this expansion where the white dot in the middle of your screen and the red beam are very, very hard to see. And then, again, because the final meta requires a ton of people to be on Sky Scales for that fireball thing, it ends up with just a huge cloud of wings and you can't see anything. It just, my FPS ends up just absolutely tanking into the ground. If it's just me, and it's just my Sky Scale doing an event and I have to fight something in the air, I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it. But anytime you add a lot of more people, it becomes not fun very quickly. So that's not a huge fan of the aerial combat of the Sky Scale. Price comparison to EOD is the last one people ask me to talk about. Also, thank you for the raid, Twitter Kitty. Appreciate that. The price comparison, so EOD was $30. This game, this one, Soto, was $25. If you compare what we got at the launch of EOD, elite specs, more maps, stuff like that, there's the Siege Turtle, what we got there for 30 compared to what we got for this for 25, it does look like that Soto is overpriced. However, We do have more maps and stuff coming. This is, you know, that 25 is supposed to be, you know, the next year's worth of content as well, which I'm not swearing that it's going to be good. I'm going to hope that it's going to be good. And also, there's inflation is also a thing. So I would say, like, you know, maybe it should have been 20, but then inflation, maybe 25. Okay. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't think the price is unreasonable. Again, some other people asked me to talk about this during this video. I don't think the price is unreasonable, but I thought it was worth touching on, at least for a second. We don't have to pay for the new content. No. There is going to basically be, there's like Soto launches. 3 months later, there's a big content patch. 3 months later, so 6 months total, there's another content patch. And 3 months later, which is 9 months total, there's another content patch. Then they start working on the next expansion. Those content patches are adding challenge modes to the strike mission, a new fractal that's got a new challenge mode as well. They're going to be adding a whole new zone. They're going to be expanding the story a bit. The legendary armor is coming out, the additional weapons for all of the class types. Stuff like that. Excuse me, hiccup. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more content for that $25 as well. But yeah, overall, you know, I've basically been overly critical this whole video so far. Overall, I did have fun, and that's the most important thing. I had a lot of fun. I would give this expansion like a solid 8 out of 10. I would say a solid 8 out of 10. The story is definitely one of my favorite parts. I very much enjoy the strike missions as someone who likes repeatable content. I'm kind of sad about PvP right now because I love PvP. I mean, just to show, on Ranger alone, my main class, I played 4,000 games. Engineer 800, Necro 560. I have played over 5,000 games of PvP. Less than many people, but more than many also. I do love PvP, but right now it's an absolute mess, and I don't even want to go in there. I'd rather play a different game than do Guild Wars 2 PvP right now and on many days, just because they're getting one-shot by so many things. So I hope they do something about that. But I love the strikes, love the story. Probably not gonna add Amethyst to my, you know, the metas I like to do just for fun. Maybe the Archipelago, we'll see. That's it. How have you guys liked it? If you guys liked it or hated it or, you know, anywhere in between, you know, share it down below. Questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, I'm interested. This is just an open forum at this point. But I'll see y'all in the comment section and in the next video.